And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Get together, have a few laughs.
Welcome to the Iowa Talk, guys. My name is Theo.
I'm Teepee.
And I'm Erock.
We're just going to bring you some events, some news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Joe Biden goes on 60 Minutes.
That's so breaking. But hey, he was a fantastic talk. I haven't seen the whole thing, just major clips. But Erock here, he did.
You didn't watch it?
He did some. I didn't.
You weren't home?
I have stuff to do.
Why don't I play 49 seconds of it?
Let's just What part of it? The beginning? Where are we going?
You're about to find out.
Okay. Better not be dumb.
As Ukraine succeeds on the battlefield, Vladimir Putin is becoming embarrassed and pushed into a corner. And I wonder, Mr. President, what you would say to him if he is considering using chemical or tactical nuclear weapons.
Don't.
Motherfucker, don't.
It will change the face of war, unlike anything since World War II.
And the consequences of that would be what?
I'm
What
not
would the
gonna
U.S.
speculate that.
response be?
You think I would tell you if I knew exactly what it would be? Of course I'm not going to tell you. It'll be consequential. They'll become more of a pariah in the world than they ever have been, and depending on the extent of what they do will determine what response would occur.
I think this is kind of actually a scenario where the United States isn't exactly telling Russia what to do. That's just my take.
What? Elaborate. What do you mean?
They are not really taking orders from anybody but themselves
Russia,
on the Ukraine
yeah.
deal. This
Oh,
isn't.
yeah.
This isn't a scenario where
They've been showing that. They've been doing that.
this isn't a scenario where the U.S. can pressure somebody like they're used to.
Right. Like these smaller countries,
Yeah.
where their GDP, can't even come compared to Texas's, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree. They're trying to use these muscle tactics and whatnot that they have been for years, and we've discussed this before in shows in the past that it's not going to work with these guys.
No.
Especially, like they said, these countries, Russia and China, their roots are so deep.
It's just they will not be pushed around. This isn't what we're used to doing. It's like, we had trouble in Vietnam, okay? Trouble in Vietnam. That's not much to say, but it's the least we can say.
Yeah.
Right? And Russia has a little bit more, they're not Korea, they're not Vietnam, they are not Iraq, they are not Afghanistan.
But, Russia also had trouble, USSR had trouble in Afghanistan. It all depends on what war you're fighting and what extents you're willing to take.
Well, this is one right on their border.
Yeah. Once again, and we've discussed in shows in the past, that one side's saying one thing about what's happening in Ukraine and another side saying a complete opposite. So I haven't heard too many reports of Putin being backed into a corner, actually.
I think he's...
Didn't they just reclaim a bunch of land?
Who?
Ukraine.
Yeah, that was up in the north around Kharkov. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe so.
It's also a possibility that the Russians removed their forces from Kharkov because Kharkov is in the north.
Right.
And they're now focusing on the southern region of Ukraine, Mariupol, Kherson. Is that not also in the south?
I believe so, yeah.
Odessa, of course.
Right.
Which is further west on the Black Sea.
Mm-hmm. Which is major.
Yeah. So, is it actually a Russian loss? You know, something we can get into more of the. I have a couple notes on what may have happened recently strategically. We're lagging on what's happening. We haven't released stuff fast enough.
Right.
Money?
But Erock, you have
No, just what they asked for another $47 billion in Ukraine, COVID-19, and monkeypox.
Yeah, this is
which is extremely interesting.
Well, this is something
Is
that Washington D.C. loves doing, right? Is just giving money and weapons,
giving our money to other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Is that going to solve the war?
It might.
Or wait, he said it's whatever it takes.
Well, I think it's interesting. They're saying he's backing him into a corner. Is the corner the Black Sea? Is that what he's trying to say? That's the corner he's backing him into? I just find that interesting. And also, I like how the 60-minute anchor brought up, Scott, what was his name? Scott Peely brought up, you think Putin might use chemical weapons?
I take the threat very seriously. I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously. I remember the fact that he has invaded 2 countries before. I know for a fact that he's poisoned his own people.
Today I want to make it absolutely clear to Assad and those under his command, the world is watching. The use of chemical weapons is and would be totally unacceptable.
Russia would pay a severe price if they use chemical weapons.
But we can't let the world's worst leaders blackmail, threaten, hold freedom-loving nations hostage with the world's worst weapons.
That was a point that I thought
I'm like,
about.
This sounds familiar. I'm having a strange sense of deja vu once again. Like, are you guys really going to try that fucking dog and pony show again?
Sounds like an opportunity for opportunists.
I thought Colin Powell was dead.
Yeah. His spirit lives on in the U.S. government, brother. So
that is horrible. But I guess that's what we're doing, right?
That's not what we're doing. That's what they're doing.
We're talking about the horrible, though.
Oh, we talk about the horrible. Yeah. I guess. We're just talking about real life stuff.
So, I caught on the Duran that the regions of eastern Ukraine, Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporozhye. So we just said Kherson, which is down in the south, which was a rearrangement, right? Leaving, I think we're correct in Kharkiv in the north. Maybe we have cities wrong, but I think Kharkiv is in the north, Kherson is in the south.
I'd have to look.
And they have a referendum coming up, the 23rd and 27th, through the 27th of September, to possibly join Russia. And this changes the whole strategy for Russia.
Who?
These 4 regions.
Okay.
Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporozhye, according to the Duran.
So they want to separate.
So, they're holding a referendum later this month. We don't know how it's going to go. But if they happen to vote to be autonomous or go the way of Russia, that changes everything.
That changes a lot.
So, Jackson Hinkle...
I wouldn't say everything, but
changes
a lot.
The scope of the operation, because remember, by their own rules, they called it a special military operation.
Correct.
And we're talking about the corner that Putin has been backed into.
Yeah.
Well, the corner that they've been backed into has been self-imposed.
Right. That's what I was saying.
So, yeah. So if at the end of this month, these regions vote to go towards Russia, and I don't know how they're going to vote, well, it's not going to be militia fighting anymore for Russia.
That's going to be interesting.
It will be Russian
troops.
Military.
Yeah. So that's going to get crazy.
Which is a fact that I don't think people have also realized, is that it hasn't been regulars. It's been militia.
For the majority.
Russia, yes.
The majority. NGOs, basically.
Thanks for letting me be long-winded there.
You're good. But real quick, also, Erock pointed out here, send me this. The White House also wants Congress to provide $1.5 billion for uranium for U.S. nuclear reactors in case there is a reduction in Russian supplies of uranium.
Oh.
And $500 million for work on the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We spoke about that Strategic Petroleum Reserve before on here.
In the Arctic?
This particular one, this is going to get really interesting here. I wonder how this is all going to play out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dig more into that. We'll have to bring that up later on in something. Another show to be continued on that topic because that's super interesting. But let's get back to the interview, the 60 minutes.
The economic war hits us a little more there. I would just like to leave that before we get to that interview.
So, another thing on that interview, he actually calls him out on his age, Biden's age,
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, play that clip.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't, look, I have trouble even saying to myself my own head the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly. I mean, it's just not, I haven't observed anything in terms of, there's not things I don't do now that I did before, whether it's physical or mental or anything else.
Well, they certainly made it a big deal of Donald Trump for a week or two, back when they needed a story.
How old he was?
Yeah.
Yeah. In that, Scott goes on to say, Mr. President, you are the oldest president ever. And
pretty good shape, huh?
Yeah.
I don't understand. What is a fly?
Well, they live for a matter of days.
Is that what?
And they like to eat shit.
Yes. This is another fact.
They like to fly around and stick to Obama's face.
Yeah.
That happened a lot.
He says, I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly. I mean, it's just not I haven't observed anything in terms of this thing.
Yeah, so he says nothing. So this is par for the course.
Hold on.
Says nothing.
Is he trying to say he's pretty fly for a white guy?
Yeah, the offspring. Okay, I do that.
I think that he said that when he told black people that they're not black if they don't vote for him. He was that fly for a white guy.
That's how fly is. Yeah.
On 60 Minutes.
He's in pretty good shape, man. Okay. I mean, in all reality, though, that does come with its own... I mean, not to just poke fun at the guy for his age. We're not really doing that. But that comes with its own concerns as far as health. I mean... Cognitive
ability, because we've all had grandparents that age, and you just see it happen by the damn minute.
Right. I mean, and it's sad. It's terrible to watch it happen to your own grandparents and stuff. But guess what, folks? I don't think Mr. Joe Biden's immune to this.
But then Scott carries the water for him and says, "Oh, you have had a string of legislative successes recently." And he says, "How did an old guy do that?"
Ha! Wow. But then he would have said, but your approval rating in the country is well below 50%.
In the 30s, I think I heard that.
I wonder why you think that is. Which Joe replied with a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, let's start with you're a turd face.
This is a really difficult time,
that the government and governments around the world have made.
Yeah. Well, and then...
We lost 1 million people. 1 million people had COVID.
To the virus?
Apparently.
Yeah. Well,
when he got into office, I got elected, only 2 million people had been vaccinated. I got 22 million. Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Well, and I wonder if that has anything to do with the vaccine coming out right at the end of Trump's presidency administration, and Operation Warp Speed coming in pretty much right when Biden came into the office. So,
but then he also says the pandemic is over.
Oh, we're gonna skip right to that one, huh?
It seems like the pandemic is over when it's convenient, right?
Right. When there's just the midterms coming up.
Yeah. It does.
Well,
most of this seems
he was at the
political.
Detroit Auto Show, and he says, you notice no one's wearing masks. Well, I was just down in St. Louis. There was still a decent amount of people wearing masks.
I noticed it in Milwaukee.
Yeah?
When I was over there. Don't see it around here too much, do you?
Nope. I see a few. Hey, if that's what you want to do that makes you feel safe, go ahead. The rest of us know.
Peace be upon you.
Yeah, Godspeed. But it's really interesting, though, that, in that he did announce, hey, the pandemic's over, right? Done.
Yeah.
But then,
What? Yeah.
we talk about and the same foot, our neighbors to the north there, up there in Canada, Mr. Justin
Trudeau, as Klaus would say.
As is Klaus Schwab.
Mr. Trudeau.
Mr. Trudeau, part of the young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
He has been a good young man for us.
Yes, and I was looking around after I met him, and most of his cabinet members are members of the young global leaders. It's very, very, very great.
They have a stronghold.
Anyways, they're imposing still, here, this is a LifeSiteNews.com article where it was saying hashtag Trudeau must go has been trending on Twitter.
Daggone.
As thousands vent frustration over COVID mandates. So he's still pushing the vaccination mandate and vaccine passports and all this other crazy stuff. But here, our president just announced it's over.
The pandemic is over.
It's gone.
But
We cured it all, just like they cured the flu back in 2020.
Has
Remember
it
that?
not long been an aim of the World Economic Forum to push mass vaccination? I think they've published that.
I believe they did. Did we not talk about that?
Hey,
I think we did, yes.
but as of Monday, nearly 400 people were dying every day, still from COVID, according to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
He rebutted.
Fauci.
I thought he was on his way out.
In December.
Oh, so he's still.
Yeah.
We are not where we need to be if we are going to, quote, live with the virus. Because we know we are not going to eradicate it. This is what Fauci said. Who has long pushed mass vaccinations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
Which he was wrong about.
That was more medicine.
Even
but yeah.
now, more than 2 years, close to 3 years into the outbreak, we only have 67% of our population vaccinated, and only 1/2 of those have received a single boost.
A single boost.
A single boost.
I would say that 2/3 of people being vaccinated is pretty successful.
But then a third
Right.
only got the boost.
A third,
Considering
or,
it's an experimental.
So
yeah, a third are just
and
like
that remains another third that are dying.
Apparently.
I guess that makes up the 400 people a day.
It must be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The head of the CD.
I don't know.
But good news. This breaking news. New York City ends private employer vaccine mandates and pushes boosters, according to Mayor Eric Adams.
it's just over.
Yep, this just came out today.
Oh, okay. Well, that
If
sounds
it's
like
over, then why are they pushing that?
Well,
sounds like a good ploy to get a bunch of people to take a vaccine on a mandate real quick, and then just cancel it later.
I hope this isn't
But-
one of those instances where Joe said something, and then when people actually did it, they got in trouble. Like that one time when he said you don't need an AR-15 for home defense, you just need a shotgun. If somebody shows up at the door, you don't know who it is, you just put one through the door. And
Yeah, weapons expert.
so I hope this is not one of those instances.
Well, according to this article,
God forbid he's wrong.
It starts on November 1st.
What does?
The private businesses, including restaurants,
The
will no
not-
longer have to check workers' vaccine cards. Healthcare workers, however, are still required to
The
be
not
vaccinated.
vaccine passport, but
Booster
encourage booster campaign, right?
Is that what that is?
That's a good way of saying
Well, he
it.
says 89% of city residents, including children, had received at least one dose of vaccine. Mr. Adams said it was time to usher in a new stage of flexibility for parents and businesses, although he left a mandate for city workers in place.
Oh, okay.
And he says, quote, it's time to move on to the next level for fortifying our city.
I don't.
Interesting. All the infrastructural infrastructure workers all have to have it, huh?
I can empathize with those people, and at this point, what is our name? We are the Iowa
Talk guys.
Well, now
you
you
just
can
like
move
to talk.
And
You can move to
That's all
New
we
York
do.
City.
if folks
It's
in
cool.
New York City,
They're welcoming.
if you can get out, I'm not trying to recruit people to move to Iowa necessarily. That's not an aim of
No.
ours.
But
In
we
fact,
love it here. It's awesome.
if you like the city life and you like voting the city life, just stay where the hell you're at. Please.
Yeah, and you really wouldn't like Iowa at all.
Yep.
No city here
It's
is anything
true.
like that. You
Well,
should
there's barely any
stay
people
away.
here.
Just stay away.
But
Not even Des Moines could accommodate you. Trust
but
me.
you can actually live a way better life, quality of life, outside of the city of New York.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. Where are they supposed to get this cash monies to do that?
Selling their assets like most people do and
But, you know,
saving money. But then again, it's being stolen on a daily basis by the Federal Reserve. So.
but the mayor said, you know, there's a possibility of another variant. That,
well,
and so did Fauci. He said, yeah,
naturally.
Well,
it's likely we'll see another variant emerge.
Well, if it's
going
anything
into
like
the
the
fall.
regular flu or cold, every year there's going to be a new variant.
So you
right?
got to lock down again.
There's also the chance that 67%, I think I've heard that number earlier, that 67% of people will react quite favorably to these people when they have a carrot dangling over their head.
You get free
Sorry.
donut.
Sorry to... Not trying to alienate anybody, but
It happened to me before, man.
I want my Krispy Kreme.
Yeah. I want my free pizza for a month.
Well, it tastes great. You wouldn't...
Like, you had to read books. Remember that back in the day?
Yeah.
Class.
Heck yeah. That was awesome. Pizza Hut, you get the personal pan pizza.
But reading books is, you know, kind of
antiquated.
I like it. I like reading books. We talked about that too. Well, so these are... So, hey, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the president on here. I think the pandemic's over,
I think
despite what everybody else says.
Well, I think that had we a podcast 2 years ago this time, you'd have probably said the same thing.
What?
That the pandemic is over.
Oh, well, maybe.
you'd probably be kicked off, though.
We would be shadow
yeah,
banned.
Yeah,
and we would have it.
If we're not being, but
no,
yeah,
I don't think we are. But
I think that we understood that there was something
man.
more subversive
I'll tell you
happening.
this: I witnessed. I was in a field. I was a field service technician during that time, and I never stopped traveling for work. Still going. So I had to go through the airports for all that stuff. Yeah,
you're essential.
I was an
Did
essential
you do dances
employee.
on TikTok about?
No,
sing
what?
songs?
I think it's interesting
No.
that people can
We'll get
be
into the
deemed
TikTok
as,
and how it sucks ass.
I think it's interesting that people can be deemed essential
Yeah,
or
over
non-essential.
somebody else. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean,
That's an interesting
it was really
use of
interesting.
terminology over people.
We'll see a lot of the manufacturers, since they shut stuff down, they're like, well, here's the time to get all this stuff that we have had broken for years fixed. We got the time now to, we're forced to shut down.
So this was service call time for you.
This
was like maintenance
yeah,
time.
not just us. I mean, every company I knew, I was running.
Factory shut down.
I was seeing service techs that I knew.
And TP is there.
We were there.
Did you have to show your vaccination card?
Nope. They did not
Well,
care.
you know,
at the
I don't
time, well, the vaccine didn't come out quite yet, and then even after that, there was a few people that they asked for it, and we told them, "What's that?" And then they had us fill out this thing, and then they took our temperature, and then we went into their factory and.
Hey, remember
fixed
when
their
they
shit.
wanted us to all walk through detectors to see if you had a temperature?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
like some factory. Yeah, I've been in some factories like that.
Likewise.
Yeah,
Man, some people made a killing on that.
yeah. That was whoever came up with that system quick like that. Whoop.
Yeah, and
Good
it was
job on you.
and it was a good time for people that could quickly and cheaply manufacture face masks.
What about the companies, the plexiglass companies? Huh? Huh?
Do
They
you-
made a killing.
do you
they probably
recall-
made more money that year than
Do you
they ever
recall
did.
local distilleries?
How they were
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Just
all
making
all the hand
sanitizer?
sanitizer, yeah, and like honey bottles and stuff.
And then
Crikey.
And it smelled like the worst well tequila.
I thought it smelled like daggum alcohol hand sanitizer.
It smelled the stuff I got. It smelled like some well tequila that just went over bad. I don't know if tequila can do that.
Well, that's what you got to do, boy.
Tasted like terrible well tequila too, you know. So,
You know, I once seen one of those like dudes that was addicted to alcohol or drinking.
oh yeah,
the hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer?
Yeah,
yeah,
Crikey.
what the fuck's that called?
alcoholism. That's
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
yeah. They'll drink the mouthwash and shit too.
well,
hand sanitizer.
they're
Oh,
severe
gross.
alcoholics, is what they are. They just don't want to be smelt.
Well, at least you're clean. You won't get COVID. You're injecting that straight. Maybe is that what Trump meant? You just got to drink
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
inject
yeah.
bleach or something.
Whatever.
hand sanitizer. In you.
I
CNN
said that as a
loved that.
joke. You tried to fuck his wife as a joke.
Teepee.
What's up?
Did you hear of the part on 60 Minutes when he was talking about his son Hunter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I love my son, number one. He fought an addiction problem. He overcame it. He wrote about it. And no, there's not a single thing that I've observed.
He's a
clip of him.
fucking overcomer, bro. Step off.
Hey, we can empathize with drug addicts to an
Have you seen the
extent,
video?
right?
You know what?
Get off the I mean,
I can. If you have an addiction problem, hey, I understand. And I'm all for getting better. But let's face it. Is it really an addiction problem when you're doing it? You're recording yourself doing it.
And you can't even get the prostitute to light the lighter to light your crack pipe. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't watch all of them, but
you
there's
saw you
there's a
witnessed
bunch.
a video, a Hunter
Oh.
Biden video of this.
I watched.
Yeah, it
I
was
watched
awesome.
some of them. Yeah, we talked about that one where, and I played in a clip of it when old Joe was talking about his crime bill, and he was saying that anybody with a piece of crack cocaine larger than a 25 cent,
Yeah. Anyway,
Dude, how terrible is all of this?
and he's getting high on crack and playing with guns and stuff and everything.
Well,
like,
If you have a drug problem, it's like we don't have necessarily a position, if I'm allowed to speak on most people in the show, that hey, necessarily jail is just the fucking place for you if you have a drug problem.
well, that's where his daddy was sending all the citizens.
Yeah, you need help. The privilege is very visible here. You can see that.
Well, there was messages when you go and research any of that stuff. There were messages between Hunter and his father about him needing money to go through these programs and all this stuff. And yes, and they paid for it. They helped him. They did do what they could do to try to help their son out.
Well, that's what you
and
do.
why wouldn't you do that? Yeah,
The
I wouldn't
family
bash
is
that.
supposed to
That's-
do that. That's what you
Absolutely,
do for your-
absolutely. The problem is still us peasant folk, us common folk here. We still get prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and he still keeps getting the slap on the hand, and his parents paying $37,000 for a weekend or a week treatment or whatever at the best that this country can offer, and he's still doing it. So,
And not to mention foreign trips and flights on Air Force One. And tell me that doesn't have some sort of...
or what about his dad buying him hookers? Did
What?
you see that part? Him wire transferring or cash apping him?
First of all, who the hell is Hunter Biden's dad?
I don't know. I don't think he knows. Oh, he's the smartest man.
he's ever met.
Okay.
He's ever met.
I remember now.
Yeah,
Put
he
that
said
in there.
that. So, yeah.
You were on something.
Also, guns. You want to say the assault weapons ban? There's no rational. Deer aren't running through the woods wearing Kevlar vests.
Or not?
Well, no.
Is that why you don't need a...
But if you shot a deer with an AR-15, you're really going to piss it off unless you hit it right in the heart of the head. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Think so?
I know so. Yeah. Because that's a small round going through a big animal. And I've seen deer take 12-ounce slugs. Or not 12-ounce slugs.
Yeah, for a game like that,
an 8-ounce slug.
A 243 or something like that is probably about the least load and velocity.
For a rifle round that you'd want to use.
To take a deer down.
So, I'm telling you, if you shot at a deer, you don't go deer hunting with an AR-15. You will go coyote hunting with an AR-15.
Well, you obviously can with the correct upper...
that's true.
Configuration.
If you have a 450 Bushmaster or the larger ones,
350 Legend or something.
yes,
like that.
yeah, something like that. That will be a large enough caliber to be able to take down a deer. But a regular AR-15 and 223 or 5.56, You don't want to go deer hunting with that.
That's not an assault rifle, though, correct?
That's what they would deem as an assault rifle.
Yeah, that is an assault rifle.
Right.
It's an AR-15.
Oh, okay. Beto?
NATO round?
No, Beto O'Rourke.
Beto.
Can I get his
Not
definition?
NATO.
Oh.
Beto.
Yeah, I want his definition.
Oh.
Of what?
An AR-15 or
call him up.
assault rifle.
Call him up.
An AR-10.
Come on, bro.
That'd be an
AR
7.62.
An AR-14. Isn't that what Biden said? An AR-14 to that kid from Michigan, that trades
Oh,
kid?
yeah.
Wasn't it an
union thing.
AR-14?
Something stupid.
And then some manufacturer...
And he's like, I don't work for you.
And then some awesome manufacturer gave him a weapon that had, like, AR-14 or some shit.
Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool as shit.
Well, he confronted him on video.
Yeah,
and it was
I know.
like a
I saw
campaign
it.
thing. Yeah.
It was during his election campaign.
Yeah, some
Mhm.
manufacturer did that for him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him. Hopefully the union helped him keep his job, too.
That's another story.
So at least he got a sweet weapon out of the deal.
I bet they helped him keep his job if they could.
Or if they... Anywho. Yeah. I don't even want to approach the gun argument on this because as far as we stand, if you're against any type of... or if you're for any type of weapons ban, you're an idiot. In my
What
book.
about nukes?
Well...
What
let's
about
see.
artillery?
If you can afford it.
Yeah, that's like just a real basic economic argument.
I mean, if you can afford a howitzer and the rounds for it, and you
If
have
there's
the
a
clearance, right? I mean,
Yeah, back in the day, you weren't allowed to have a cannon, right?
oh, you could if you could
No.
afford it.
I thought he
think you
said
could.
couldn't
If-
have a cannon.
If you
Yeah,
could
you could.
afford
Find
it,
that.
Yeah, if you could afford it.
but it was expensive. It took a lot of labor to make that shit.
Also, that's why the four founders
Biden
understood. They knew that like your citizens aren't going out and buying an Abrams. Not they didn't know what an Abrams wanted, but they knew.
No.
They already knew at that point. Like most of your citizens are going to have like a Kentucky rifle,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
And they're not going to have cannons because most people don't afford it. For one, and two, what's the purpose of having a cannon?
When people of Ukraine could use those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the black market
Yeah.
guys are using them very well.
People of the
Javelin.
United States could use the shit because there are videos on a daily basis that I cannot even stand to watch because they are just so terrifying of crimes being committed in, well, we have the luxury of not living in a big city. Gentlemen, here,
Yep.
let's cheers to that.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Iowa.
Hell yeah.
To the shack.
We are the Iowa Talk guys. And there's plenty of video that we can watch. I mean, that is just horrible.
Yeah.
In big cities, things that are robberies, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I think not too close, not too far away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like this is happening. But anywhere there is a population gathered, really, stuff's
Unfortunately.
happening.
And they're doing just absolutely stupid stuff. I saw this video over the weekend of these dummies. I don't know if this is a TikTok challenge or what this is, but the New York subway system, when they're coming up out of ground, above ground, the rail system, they got citizens climbing up on top of the cars as they're moving. And like,
Neat.
they're like, look at me. I'm like
Subway
Spider-Man,
surfing.
man.
You're like Spider-Man. No, you're like an NES.
Well,
You're like an NES character, dude.
NES. You mean
like Subway Surfer? Was that a game?
yeah, Subway Surfer. I think that was a mobile app.
but no, around here in Iowa, you surf on trains.
Earlier we had spoke about old Nancy going over there for no reason. Really, that was just to stir the pot. That old drunk.
Imagine if they
Yeah.
would have shot that plane down.
I despise.
That would be war, dude.
I
That'd be-
despise all people that drink. First of all,
You despise them?
And eat ice cream.
I despise all people that drink alcohol and eat ice cream.
And look like Skeletor. Speaking of Skeletor, hold on, before we get into this, can I tell you a story, a Skeletor story? Okay. Ready? We're getting
go.
into it, dude. So here I was, I was driving over a bridge, and one of these bridges has recently had road construction on it.
There are a lot of bridges where we live, folks.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was a 4-lane, 2 incoming, 2 outgoing, and whatever. It was merged into just a one way, right? So you had to merge over.
Yeah.
Anywho,
get on over.
I'm getting on over. I'm coming in.
Not too early either.
Well, there wasn't anybody really around, but there was a stoplight before the bridge, right? And I'm assuming that's what this lady was doing, was trying to run that yellow light, because I'm going up, so I can't really see what the light is in my rear view.
All right.
And I'm getting over into the lane, just following the cones, and this lady comes flying up, tries to go around me, realizes that there's no way to go around me because there's a bridge abutment there, right?
Dadgummit.
Slams on her brakes and lays on her horn. And this was recently.
Like Beetlejuice movie?
No. This happened in real life. This is real life to me. Okay, so I had my window down, too, because it was a beautiful morning. It was like 70-something out, dude. I had my window down, so I just yelled out the window. I said, "It's called a merge lane," right?
Yeah,
Even though I wasn't like, I didn't cut this lady off. I had plenty of time to get over, too. And I was over. And by the time I was over, that's when she was trying to go around me and almost killed herself. So I say that, and I look in my rearview mirror, and this lady, like I said, probably I'd say in her late 70s, just Skeletor face, bony, crusty white, glares at me and gives me this long, bony middle finger.
Oh my god! Dude, I totally thought this story was going somewhere else.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Oh no! Here it gets better. I start laughing and I just give her the thumbs up, right? Okay, whatever. So we get across the bridge and she's like riding, and I'm just following traffic, okay? And she's like right up on my rear end, and I'm like, whatever, don't care. Finally get across the bridge where it opens back up to 2 lanes. First chance she gets, she goes flying past me, and on the back of her vehicle has, the coexist, the peace symbol.
Not the ones with the guns.
Not the one
that would be funnier.
No, it wasn't one of those. It was all the ones about peace, love, and Bernie Sanders, and I was like, that's kind of ironic.
Did she perhaps feel slightly entitled?
I don't know, but I didn't get a chance to talk to her. But I just laughed about it. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. You're way too old to be getting your blood pressure up like that. I'm surprised you have that'd have been terrible having a stroke going over the bridge.
Yeah.
How slow were you going?
Oh, just the speed limit, 30 miles per hour.
Over the bridge?
Into 30 miles per hour. Yeah.
Because that's what it is, right?
And that's what the rest of the traffic was moving in.
And that's what you're supposed to do when you're
going through road
professionally
construction
driving a vehicle.
Yeah, weird.
It
was strange.
Oh.
Super strange. But anyways, now getting back into Taiwan. So speaking of dumb, crusty old Skeletors.
And the river between Taiwan and China.
Yeah, the river that runs through it. Erock here pointed out that was brought up during the interview on 60 Minutes, right?
Yeah, back to 60 Minutes.
Yeah, back to 60 Minutes.
60 Minutes.
It says here, on the same day that we spoke to the president, Putin met with China's leader, Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping?
That's what I said.
That's what I said, Xi Jinping.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's concern that Russia's attempt to force reunification with Ukraine could inspire China to attack the island of Taiwan. U.S. policy since 1979 has been to recognize Taiwan as part of China, but remains silent on whether the U.S. military would defend the democratic government there. This is among the places where our interview runs into controversy.
Because, you won't be able to get your McDonald's toys now.
Yeah, they're all made in Taiwan.
I would just like to say that God forbid China or Russia launch a war on a country based on false pretenses.
Right.
They should never do that.
What?
And if they do,
first world country would ever do something
if they do that, that is a red line that they cross that they can never cross back. So don't invade no countries under false pretenses.
Yeah. Look what happened with us.
Who's us? Oh, U.S.
U.S. government, yeah. Right. So the Scott Peely asked old Joe, what should he know about your commitment to Taiwan? And old Joe said, "We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, that there's one China policy and Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not moving. We're not encouraging their being independent. We're not. That's their decision." So then he was asked, would the U.S. forces defend the island? With Joe going on to say, yes.
Okay.
If in fact there was an unprecedented attack. Okay, so I'm kind of confused here about that. I really wish the interview would have asked for some more clarification.
Well, I am not qualified as an individual that has ever engaged in an island campaign.
Yeah.
But I've read a little bit about it from a historical perspective and watched videos and whatnot. And that sounds fucking horrible.
To be Taiwan?
To launch an island campaign or yada, yada, yada,
yeah.
or to defend an island. That sounds just like a tactical suicide.
Well,
and
the Marine Corps has been focusing on an island hopping campaigns for the last 10 years.
Well, getting rid of their mechanized assets, right?
This is just... he contradicted himself. He was saying, yeah, we agree that China is, it's a one China policy, that Taiwan's a territory of China. But if they invade them, we're going to totally stand up for Taiwan and fight back.
Hey, that's your commander-in-chief.
So that would be like, if you recognize that it's a U.S. territory, that would be like the U.S. going into Puerto Rico and saying, Puerto Rico was invaded by the U.S. They're still recognized as U.S. territory, folks. Right?
Yeah.
So how could you invade your own territory? Unless there was some type of civil war going on. But at the same time, this to me just goes to prove, once again, what I called before. I called it on the show before. I'll call it again. The axis of evil is being built.
I think the point that we're trying to make with this show, if I may speak for you, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we should just not give we should worry about strengthening us.
Our borders.
And not our country.
Yes.
Our nation.
Yeah.
We should not worry about, said it recently, folks.
That's not a very globalist viewpoint you're holding. What about the world people?
It's an American first viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? That is what has usually been popular.
I'm totally behind that.
Until an event
Focus
happens.
on exports rather than imports.
Yeah, there you go.
And let's take care of our own before we take care of other fucking people, other countries. I'm sorry, I understand there's a lot of horrific stuff going out there.
There's nothing going on around the world that is worth U.S. treasure, or most importantly, blood.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Yeah.
We don't need to send young men from America to go solve the world's problems,
right,
and die.
Or
no way.
Or kill other fucking people.
Yep.
And then come back and then be all jacked up from it.
Yep.
You know?
Better you say it than anybody else, because, well,
you know what I mean?
You've spoke your
I've
piece.
got veteran buddies that are, have issues with that. And hey, you know what? We were all there. We were in that mindset. And we were just, and I hate to use that term, but we were doing what we were told. And it's very, Nazi-ish, right?
Just following orders.
Your words, not mine.
Just following orders, dude. Me not so much, because I straight up, I was an attachment to an infantry unit, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing that. That was the greatest part about my job, was we could just straight up be like, I'm not going to do that. And there's nothing they could do. Okay, well, just end this mission. Let's RTB and get yourself a new engineer. I'll leave. I don't care. Bye. There's engineers that did that, so. Yeah, that was the best perk about our job, dude. But anyways, I regress.
Well,
there was plenty of guys that did not have that ability to do that.
Well, the reason this got brought up is because of our, rejection of U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you have examples, real life examples.
Yeah, of the impacts that happened later, and not only that. I mean, look at the impact that we probably put on that whole freaking area that we were there.
Yeah, there's a lot of real world people
For all we know, we
there.
killed some really good leaders, future leaders of those areas. Not saying that, like I said, I'm convinced at this point that where we were at, we were not fighting Taliban. But now there's probably some Taliban joker that's in charge of that area because we killed off all the other.
Because the U.S. military isn't there?
Because the U.S. military killed off all the guys that were running the show. And then who came in to organize things? You guys mad at the U.S. about killing all your family and friends? You should join us. We'll help you out. And then just like the mafia, the Taliban, I mean, they're just like a gang, cartel, whatever, terrorist group. Once they gain control of something.
Tribe?
Yeah, tribe.
Isn't that
exactly
how humans
that really
react?
Yeah. Once they have control of something, they're not giving it up unless they're forced out. So that's the way of the world.
As long as I still have to take off my shoes at the airport, I feel safe. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
9/11.
9/11 who?
I thought you said you'd never forget.
Oh, yeah, that's how we should have started the show off.
Okay, now you have it. Now you have a soundbite.
I love that joke.
Just as all right, folks. Well, we really appreciate it. Follow us on
like, subscribe.
Yeah. On whatever you're listening to. We're going to get some social media coming up here soon, too. We're going to be working on that. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we'll have some stuff to be playing for you guys and people following, getting engaged in conversation.
At Iowa Talk Guys on Twitter.
Yep. And if you guys want to drop us a line, I'm Teepee at Iowatalkguys.com.
Theo at Iowa Talk Guys.
Erock at Iowatalkguys.com.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.
Out.